Logan, what did you do?
Charles, the world is not the same as it was. Mutants. They're gone now.
I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. I focus on the pain, the only thing that's real.
What is she?
Beneath the stain
She's like you.
of time,
Very much like you.
the feelings disappear.
She needs our help.
You are
Someone will come along.
someone else.
Someone has come along.
I am still right here, and you could have it all. My empire of dirt, I will let you down. I will make you hurt. I will keep myself. I would find a way.
Logan, you still have time.
Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So we finally have the Old Man Logan trailer. They're just calling the movie Logan, but it's basically like Old Man Logan. So I'll kind of explain the comic book story, but that's not what they're doing. It's going to be different from the comics. So here we go. The Johnny Cash song makes it seem like this classic Western, like he's this Clint Eastwood man with no name. So they're kind of going with that genre. Or you could think of it as like Wolverine, The Last of Us. Or even like the Johnny Cash is actually a fun Easter egg too, because James Mangold, who directed this movie, he directed the last Wolverine movie too, also directed Walk the Line, the movie about the life of Johnny Cash. But the Old Man Logan Story, if you've never read the Old Man Logan Story, it's just as kind of the trailer presents it. The world becomes this post-apocalyptic Mad Max Fury Road type of place. The actual story of that comic is actually quite a bit different. Like the Hulk is a big part of it, he's a big villain. So the story of the movie looks like they kept it relatively small, like in the way that Deadpool kind of exists by itself, but is also very connected to the X-Men films. This is also kind of by itself too, literally set very far in the distant future after mutants have potentially died out. So maybe in the way that like the Hope of the comics, like Cyclops and Jean Grey's daughter, is kind of like the hope of mutant kind after like the big No More Mutants arc in the comics. Maybe this X-23 child is the same thing. Because even though he's listed under a different name, it looks like Richard E. Grant is playing Mr. Sinister and basically wants to use her to bring mutants back or do something nefarious. Mr. Sinister is a terrible person, so these people might be working for him. It did seem like in that Apocalypse post-credit scene, like he was trying to clone Wolverine, so that's who these claws could belong to. There could be like a Wolverine clone, or these could belong to the little kid. I don't think they belong to the little kid though. These seem like they belong to someone that's much bigger, much more powerful. So unless it's like some saber-tooth twist, there's probably some Wolverine clone stuff happening in this. Although you'd have to have Wolverine clone anyway to get to X-23. But the way he says it, the mutants have all died off. But I'm curious what the ramifications of this movie are, because the idea they're presenting is that this is kind of like the end for Wolverine, like he's gonna give his life to save this child. And it looks like they're burying Professor X at the end of this, just to give you an idea for how far in the future this is after the current X-Men films. I'm assuming it exists kind of in continuity, but it's so far in the future that everybody else has died off. But you have Professor X who's still alive, who might be like somewhere past 100, because you have to imagine during Days of Future Past, Patrick Stewart's version of Professor X is somewhere in his 70s, so I'm guessing that this is even further past that, looking at how old the Logan looks. I love the way he says, you still have time. His body still regenerates, so he actually would still have a number of years left. But just careful for spoilers for the end of the Old Man Logan comic book story, so I'm going to explain that. I don't know that they're doing that in this movie, but just to give you some context for what's going on. So at the end of the Old Man Logan story, he basically defeats this evil version of Bruce Banner who's been twisted with time, like he literally eats Wolverine, and then Wolverine claws his way out of his stomach because Wolverine regenerates. Like, he's very hard to kill. But then after that, he vows to kill all the evil in the land. So even though it seems like everything's gone to shit, it's sort of like this reawakening for his character. Like, I'm not gonna take this shit anymore. But it's like a hard R story. So even though it doesn't look like this movie has a rating yet, I think the intention is to make this an R-rated Wolverine movie. And I am so here for that. That's gonna be so awesome. But I know everybody's wondering though, like, what about that little kid? Will the X-23 child pop claws and kill some people during the movie? Like, just go super hardcore? Because the whole idea of the trailer is that this movie is Mr. Sinister trying to use that child, like trying to get his hands on her so he can either bring mutant kind back or just flat out use every cell of DNA she has for some terrible, terrible purpose. But silly little kid, she can't be dangerous. Like, she looks so cute there. So you remember what Wolverine was like when he was a little kid? Like, he actually killed his foster parents, kind of on accident. So I'm expecting her to wind up being just as deadly as him at some point in the film. But most of the fun of it is just seeing them pal around in the apocalypse, trying to take care of Professor X, who looks like he's in this hollowed out version of Cerebro, but it's actually the water tower, like if it wasn't clear from the way they edited the trailer. They just want you to be thinking about like the bones of Cerebro that he's inside here. Like, it's so old that everything is gone. All their friends are dead. So I'm curious to see if there's some sort of twist, because one of the reasons why I think they put this so far in the future is because they didn't have to worry about incorporating it into the main X-Men films if they didn't want to. But there's all kinds of ways to explain that. Just, don't expect them to address this in the next X-Men film. But once we get closer to that, they'll probably explain a little bit about what's going on, especially once they start doing interviews for the movie. But it looks awesome. I can't wait to see Hugh Jackman go crazy. I can't believe that he's not going to be Wolverine anymore. Even not in like the Robert Downey Jr. way, where you guest star a little bit in other people's films, but who knows what the future of the character is. One, they're either going to recast Wolverine in a number of years, like after they feel like enough time has passed, or two, they'll try to find some way around it. But, I feel like they're not going to make like another Wolverine film with this tiny little kid in another year or so. So like, that's probably not going to happen. So let me know in the comments, like, what do you think they're going to do with the Wolverine name after Hugh Jackman formally passes on? Are they just going to recast the character in a couple years, like for the next X-Men film? Or do you think they're going to try and do X-23 stuff? I feel like it's more likely that they just wouldn't use the Wolverine character for a little while. But what's going to happen is a whole bunch more comic book stuff happening. We had that Guardians trailer yesterday, so I'll do a follow-up video for that in a couple days. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. Let me know if there's any Deadpool or any bonus Wolverine videos you guys want me to do. But next video is going to be my Arrow video. Then we have Justice Society later tonight on Legends of Tomorrow. So slightly new outro. While you guys wait for that next video to post, you can click up top for the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer again, and you can click down here for all my other Deadpool, Wolverine, X-Men videos. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.
There are two types of beings in the universe.